Hi and welcome to a Memory Keeping Monday. I'm Jen Gallacher, a garden girl here at 2Ps, and we are going to be talking about die cuts again today. And this time I wanted to show you how to unify die cuts from different companies and some fun things that you can do with them. So these are some different die cuts I have. This bingo card is from Jenny Bolin. This transparency ticket strip is from Maya Road. This fun journaling tag is from L Studio. And this fun ticket die cut is from Seven Gypsies. Now, one thing that's already unifying these three is that there are some tones of cream and black and white. So that's one way to unify them. Another way to unify them is to use some brown stamping ink and to rub the edges of each item, which gives all of them a little bit of a distressed look, which then unifies all the die cuts that you'll be using. So using that concept and using the idea that you can mix and match any die cuts that you'd like, let's go ahead and make a layout today using some of these die cut shapes. So we're going to start with a white background, and I have cut a white cardstock piece that is probably about 11.5 inches squared, and I've machine stitched around it just to give it some additional texture. This idea is from Susan Weinroth. She is very good at adding texture onto texture that's very subtle. So here is our white cardstock base. Now I have pre-cut and pre-stitched a lot of these pieces so that we can just start laying things down. So I have picked some colors on here, and I have some die cuts. That's the die cut from Jenny Bolin. And we're just going to start by putting the base down, and then we'll start decorating each of these elements. So first we're going to center these three squares, or these three rectangles, inside the stitch design. And then we're going to go ahead and attach them to the page. Now, when I am using die cuts, such as these Jenny Bolin bingo cards, I actually use these bingo cards to cut the other elements in this page so that they would match. So sometimes I use the die cut as the jumping off spot for the rest of the elements on my page. So then my pictures would then be printed at the same size and all the other elements would match. So sometimes die cuts are a great way to get your creativity going. Okay, so now that we've got these lined up, let's go ahead and decorate this a little bit. So I've pre-cut a title using my silhouette machine, and I'm just going to go ahead and add this to that first yellow rectangle that I've pre-cut. We'll just add a little bit of adhesive on here. A glue pen is a great way to add a very intricate cut or an intricate pre-made die cut to your projects. So this is very subtle. It says simply a great life. Alright, so now we have the die cut tag from Maya Road, and for this we're going to use glue dots. And when you're adding glue dots to a clear element, you can see through the element, so you can see where the adhesive goes. So look for darker areas where you can add the glue dots so that when you place it on your page, it's less obvious. The eye isn't seeing the adhesive quite as quickly as if you put it in open spaces where you might see it. Alright, this corrugated flower is from Jelly Bean Soup, and the sticker is from October Afternoon. And we're going to go ahead and add that to our page, but we're going to use adhesive foam squares, and I'll show you why. We are going to use stick pins on this page, and I love having the foam from the foam adhesive squares to stick my pins in. So anytime I'm using a stick pin, if I can add a little dimension with some adhesive foam squares, then I'm going to do it. So we'll just stick that onto my tag, and then I have these little heart stick pins, and finding the foam on the back, I just go ahead and stick them into that foam, and they actually stick really well in that foam. Okay, for the Hey You, we're going to add some journaling squares or journaling strips to this, and I've pre-cut them, and just like I did in the beginning, I added some brown ink to the edges so that it would match all of the other elements on this page. So now let's find the beginning journaling and just randomly put them on your page. So I like to print my journaling, but you could obviously just write your journaling on journaling strips, or you can even just write it directly on one of the pre-cut squares. Okay, for this last square up top, this is an L Studio die cut, and I've actually trimmed it off the bottom, and we're going to add it to this pink rectangle. Now, this element is white, but because there's a white background and kind of a cream brown top, then I can go ahead and add it and it still matches. Now I want to add some brads to this, so I will just poke some holes with a paper piercer and into a foam base. And these are from the Girls Paperie. You could use any element here that you want. You could use a button or a different brad that you've been maybe hoarding in your stash. Anytime you do a grid design like this, it's a great way to use up items in your stash and kind of just decorate things the way you like. So there's our first 3 rectangles. Let's go ahead and do the next 3. So now I'm going to add some photos. And I, again, like I said, printed these based on the size of my bingo cards. And my bingo cards were about 2.5 by about 3 1/4, but whatever you're using will be the basis for the size of your elements. So just add those there. And since I have my first 3, it's really easy to add the next few items. You could use pencil marks too to make sure that you get everything aligned exactly how you want. And we'll just add photo corners to the photo. Now, if you aren't printing at home and you have 4x6 photos, all you would need to do is make sure when you trim down your photos that you're making sure that what is trimmed is the most interesting part of the photo. Could be a detail of a scene, it could be a portrait and you've cropped into the shoulders. However you want to do it, just make sure that you're not cropping out something that's important in the photo. So you could definitely use 4x6 photos to create this layout. So for this element, I took this yellow tag from American Crafts, and this is the other part of it, and using the top of the tag as a template, I cut the bottom again so that I could have 2 tag elements on my page. So from one die cut, I made it look as if I have 2 tags. And although this bottom element does not have the circle, because I'm going to use some buttons, I'm going to hide the fact that there isn't an open circle on that bottom piece. So I've tied these buttons with yellow baker's twine from my mind's eye. I think baker's twine is a great basic embellishment to have on hand. It just dresses that page. That little bit of color mixed with white is really fun. Okay, so there we have our next set. Let's go ahead and add our final row. This is some pattern paper from my mind's eye, and it has glitter elements on some of the page, but I used the elements that didn't. And so we'll just add this at the bottom of our page, and it's going to go off the bottom of the stitching, and that's okay. We just wanted to do something fun and different. Now I want to show you something fun that you can do with these 7 Gypsies tags that I showed you at the beginning. Now they're cute like this. You could add journaling in here, you could add a button, you could add stamping. I know Jill, one of the other garden girls, used some stamping on these tags, but I'm going to turn them into banners. And to do that, using that little notch, I'm just going to cut in, and then from corner to that notched cut, I'm going to cut again. And that creates a banner shape. Now, like I said in the beginning, for making sure that all of these elements match, I'm going to distress the edges with some brown stamping ink. And then I've added a little butterfly die cut, which was a little bit brighter than the pink I'm using, so I just toned it down again by rubbing the edges with that brown stamping ink. So really easy way to marry all of the elements on your page together. So we'll add these banner shapes to this. And then I have another die cut butterfly that I've rubbed with brown stamping ink, and it actually had 3 levels, but the last level was a dark blue, and so I just ripped that off so that I could, there's no dark blue on my page, so I just kept the elements that actually matched my page. So the next piece will be another photo. Now you can change this grid by adding photos in place of the pattern paper or adding pattern paper in place of a photo. So to make it yours, just add the elements in a different place. You can even do an entire block just for your journaling. So again, look for ways, like with these tan photo corners, that you can bring cohesion to your entire page. All right, we have one more rectangle that we're going to do. And for this one, I've already added a sticker from October Afternoon, which I rubbed with brown stamping ink. There are some pearl stickers and a brown wood grain ribbon at the bottom. Quick and easy way to dress it up. And then on top of this, we will just go ahead and add a sticker, October Afternoon sticker, which I have put on blue cardstock and cut with pinking shears. I've also rubbed the edges of the cardstock with the brown stamping ink because it gives it that same distressed vintage look. So there's a page that is built with lots and lots of different die cut elements, and just by rubbing the edge of each of them with the same color of brown stamping ink, they match. So that's just a quick and easy tip for using a bunch of different die cuts that you have in your stash or ones that you're looking to get. Thank you for joining me today. You can find the complete supply list for completing this project at 2peasinabucket.com. Be sure to join us next week where another garden girl will host our Memory Keeping Monday tutorial.